Welcome to the Tough Love Arena State of the Game stream. I am your host, Paul, and this is the April 2024 edition where we're going to tell you all about the state of the game. We do this stream every month on the first Tuesday night of the month. Exceptions come up, but generally the first Tuesday night of the month. And we talk about what we've done in the previous month, what is the current state of the game balance, current objectives, that sort of stuff. And we then discuss upcoming things, events, tournaments, IRL appearances, stuff to look forward to. And we always end it with a Q&A with Twitch chat. So please sit down and join me for the next 20 to 100 minutes, depending on how long Q&A goes, where we talk about the state of the game. As always, we start with the past. What have we done in the last month since the last state of the game in early March? So as I mentioned last month, I didn't have a ton of time to work on Tough Arena because I was moving apartments. This is a picture of me. This is a selfie. And it was, I wouldn't recommend it. Moving sucks, but it's over now. You can still see this room is a little sparse and a little echoey. We'll be filling it out and making it a home in the coming weeks. But yeah, that said, and right after I moved, fun bonus, I went to Seattle to participate in SakuraCon, which I'm bringing up because I did something fighting game related, which is I gave a panel called How to Design a Fighting Game. It was a 90-minute lecture followed by a 30-minute Q&A that was very lively. We got a lot of really interesting people in the audience with some insightful questions and commentary. And I'm sorry I couldn't stick around to talk with people after the panel, but I had to run to go dress up in the second picture for the cosplay prejudging. So that's my excuse to also put that up there. But it was a ton of fun. I used to do these sorts of panel appearances all the time back in like 2017, 2018, pre-COVID, and I'm looking forward to doing them more going forward. This one was confirmed super last minute, so I didn't have a chance to spread it out on the socials that much, but I'll be making a more active effort in applying to these and telling people where they can see me in case it's local to your area or you're going to be at that convention. It was a ton of fun. Maybe I could do the panel again sometime, like on YouTube or on Twitch, and then like record it on YouTube. That's an option now compared to when I used to do these. Now that I know how to do Twitch and record things and put them on YouTube. But I'm also excited to just like continue revising it the next time I give it. I felt like there was a bunch I left out, but simultaneously I want to make it shorter. 9 minutes is a long time for just like information dump. I tried to put in a few jokes here and there, but it was long. So that's enough talking and stalling. We're going to move on from this slide. But despite all that, I actually got a decent amount of stuff in. There was a lot of work done as prep for the April Fool's event. One of the biggest one was a lot of additions for modding to enable the modders specifically for combo trials. So if you're in the Discord, you're aware people have been playing with this tool for the last week and a half. You can now put combo trials in the character config, and you can load the character config at the combo trials screen and do combo trials. This means you could make essentially custom trials for one of the main characters by just loading the default mod file for that character, adding your own trials, and then just exporting it. Assuming the character doesn't change too much in the near future and the mod upgrade could get a little weird. That said, I kind of under-documented it because it was pushed out sort of last minute for the April Fool's event. And in fact, I already added a better way of describing combo trials that give you more options, allow you to like better check for moves that whiff or like throwing lemon. And I've already updated, I think, some of the noodle soup trials and some of the beef lemon trials to use this new tool because they used to be like really inconsistent whether or not the lemon would count. That is now fixed with my new way of defining combo trials. The old way will still work for backwards compatible purposes for anyone who made combo trials in that first week right after it launched. But next week I will be making sure I push up the documentation and people can start using the V2 version. Also, I don't think I really talked about this publicly, but I dealt with a bizarre, I guess I call it denial of service spam. Some random person in Germany just started spamming my API And thankfully, if I get a route that I'm not expecting or a route that's unauthorized, which is very rare, I send myself an email because it's such a weird occurrence, and sometimes it's my own mistake. I want to know about it. And I started just getting deluged with emails of someone just trying to guess what the secret admin URL would be, and trying to go to, api.toughlovearena.com/php with question mark password equals strong password 1 and bizarre stuff like that. But they just kept spamming it. So I had to do some countermeasures just to make sure it wasn't going to rack up my bill. I've since dealt with that particular user. And in the process, when I was making these changes, suddenly I realized I couldn't update the API. The tools I'd been using to deploy the API, I hadn't used in a year, and they didn't work anymore. So I had to completely migrate to new tools, new ways of hosting the API, and in the process, I figured out how to put it on a better URL. In case anyone was curious or had ever checked before, it used to be called serverless user API down here, and if you clicked on it, it was this insane URL because it was directly pointing to a Google Cloud hosting instance. And now we have the nice api.toughlovearena.com. So that is there now. Very frustrating day spent on that, working on stuff I wasn't planning on working on, but I'm actually very happy that the work got done. Oh, and a random bug report that I had just missed. I don't know how long it had been live, but if you copy pasted URLs into the PMR lobby, the period would still be there. So thank you. I forget who mentioned it. Maybe it was during a dev stream. Maybe it was during the last day of the game, but that is now fixed. So please continue to let me know about weird UX bugs like that. It's easy for me to miss them. And there the train goes. Clickety-clack down the track. Now let's talk about the present. What is the present? Oh, someone just told me to hydrate. Well, I already drank, so I'm taking those lemons. 1 second, let me redeem that. Zoop-a-boop-a-boop. Thank you, Shine Ninja. Gobble gobble, eating your lemons. Now, what is the present state of the game? What's going on with Tough Love Arena? Well, in case you didn't notice, we're in the middle of the April Fool's event, hence the stupid hat. In the past, for the past 3 years that the game has been live, so starting in 2021, we would do an April Fool's patch. The first year was just a few funny cosmetic things. There was Gunyan, where Onion would turn into this little water gun and make a shotgun noise. We changed a few of the combos. I think Caber just stuck you in the air. And it was very well received. And the next 2 years, I spent more and more time on April Fools, and I started to really try and massively redesign the characters or introduce wacky new mechanics, like supers and EX moves, and I think jump cancels, or an early version of them, were in April Fools, maybe with Noodle's helicopter. So it was a really fun exercise where people got to play with a strange version of each character, and it also served as a breeding ground for me to test experimental design changes. And we'd have a big tournament at the end of the week. But I realized last year when I did it, it just took up so much time. It was a lot of fun, but ultimately, development, like many things in life, there's an opportunity cost to working on something like an April Fool's patch, which means I'm not making progress on the mobile version. I'm not making progress on arcade mode, etc. And sometimes it's important to take little diversions and to work on things that come up, both for the community and for my own sanity. But it had ballooned into this big thing that took me 2 months. So that was not sustainable. And this year we had the idea of, hey, people are already making wacky versions of the characters. It's called modding. And Shiggy ran that weekly modded tournament for a long time, which had a lot of regular contributors. So working with Shiggy, I reached out to some of the most prominent or most people who have contributed most to the community and solicited them for their take on a character to push for April Fools, and that is what you're playing right now. I mentioned it in the last day of the game. Here it is again, and they're supposed to be credited in game, but I might need to fix that. I think it might have been something I turned off at the last minute because it wasn't working and I wanted to get the push out. This is when I was working Sunday night at midnight out of the airport right before the red eye. It was a whole thing. But these were the wonderful creators. They will be fully credited, and at the end of the event, you'll be able to download these mod files to play with in perpetuity for your own pleasure. But it's only possible thanks to them and Shiggy and other people in that little private group who have been helping with playtesting and everything else. So this event wouldn't exist without these 6 people in particular. I've been, as I've mentioned, super swamped, but thankfully I was able to make enough time last week to unblock them, make sure they had what they needed, and get their modded characters into the game. So I'm very grateful to them. I hope people are having fun with the modded characters, and I think Friday's tournament's going to be really fun for me to watch because I don't know much about them. I've done some very preliminary testing, I did some earlier stuff, but I know the characters have changed a lot over time, and I'm excited to just spend half the tournament just laughing as I have no idea what's happening. It's going to be great. But yeah, that's what's going on there. Tournament's on Friday night, and then just having a few days felt a little bad. I want people to have more time to enjoy them, so I'm going to let it ride through the end of the weekend, and then I will revert everything Sunday night, as we have with previous years. As far as what I'd normally put in this section of what's the present state of the game, no balance changes planned at this time. I'm happy with where the vanilla characters are. No notes. Now we talk about the future. What's coming up for Tough Love Arena? What do you, as a Tough Love Arena player / enjoyer, have to look forward to? So first off, just establishing upcoming dev work. Continuing these, again, didn't make progress this last month with the move and the focus on April Fools, but I'm still making slow but steady progress on Boss Rice. I think I had a dev stream 4 weeks ago where I might have finished their moveset. I just need to do another pass, make sure everything makes sense. And then once that's done, I'll be working on arcade mode now that every character will have, with 3 bosses, we'll have some variety where which character ends at which boss route. And lastly, because I'm continuing to work with Wonderville on making a permanent arcade installation for Tough Love Arena, I need to make sure that we have a version of the game that works with an arcade machine in terms of that sort of continuously playing, press start to join, just works in that flow where you don't have access to a keyboard or mouse or the ability to, conveniently reset or anything. So that's what I'm planning on working on in April. There is the April Fool's Tournament this Friday, as I'd already shown the slide. If you haven't signed up yet, please check it out, tronge.com/TLAFools24. Also, that will be put in the news ticker as soon as the stream is over. It is replacing Tough Love Gauntlet. When we do a big major tournament, it just sort of replaces Tough Love Gauntlet on Friday. I tend to start mine a little bit later at 7 instead of 6:30, but the check-in, I think, starts at 6, same as TLG. You can double-check on the Tronge. Everything will be there. And yeah, it's going to be a super fun event. I'm super excited. We are not setting up a Matcherino for this because I don't want there to be too high of stakes when there's modded characters involved, and there could be accusations of, unfairness, or if, God forbid, all of top 8 is just Garlic characters and it's totally random. Just not going to open that can of worms. It's just for fun. But I will still give out skins for entering and a premium account to whoever places highest, who doesn't already have one. And as I confirmed last month, I will remind you that we are going to be at Combo Breaker in late May in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is basically Chicago. We are registered to both have a booth. I secured a sort of double-sized booth so I can make sure I have enough room for 2 dedicated Tough Love Arena setups and 2 dedicated new game setups. I have to figure out what I'm going to run them on because I only have 3 laptops, but that's a me problem. I'll sort that out. We're going to have the room for both games. I'm super excited. And we're also running a side tournament in the official Combo Breaker side tournament area, which is called All in This Together, where they make us these really nice medals that we can give. Last year was for top 4. That will say Combo Breaker, Tough Love Arena, first place. And Phil will tell you that I accidentally gave everyone the wrong medal because I didn't realize it actually said first place and second place on the back of them. I just gave them out randomly. They're super cool. It's a super fun event. So if you're local, definitely come by. You can fight me in Tough Love Arena. You can buy some cool merch. You can try out the new game, and you can play in the tournament. And top 4 or top 8 will be on stream. Again, details are yet to be ironed out. But if you want to register, it's run through Smash GG. And I am pretty sure I added it to the About page. So if you go to about.toughlovearena.com and to the events page, scroll down, you should find TLA at Combo Breaker and a link to the bracket where you can register. So check it out. It is in person only. It's not an online bracket. So please don't register if you're not going to be a Combo Breaker. I was supposed to be also speaking at a convention in April, a local thing in New York, but the organizers just got back to me and said that the date is up in the air as they secure a venue, so I'm not going to mention it. Hopefully it won't be this month. Hopefully I can give some lead time, but if you're local to the New York area, I will be giving that How to Design Fighting Games panel again, and hopefully be showing off the new game at its technically first public showing. It's a really small scale college event. It's a chill vibe, but hopefully I can get that to happen. I'll let you all know when something materializes. Let's jump in to the monthly survey. Oops. So we're going to go through this a little bit on the faster side, but we got an amazing 68 responses. We had that insane month, I think it was February, with 100, and then it dipped down to a more normal number, and I want to say the 30s, and now we're back up to 68, so that's really cool. Also, yeah, we've been having active player counts in easily 1 to 200. It's been really exciting to watch. There's 129 people playing right now. Why aren't they watching the stream? What the heck? But we'll go through these. Unfortunately, it did the same thing where 4 people said nothing, so it totally messes up the open answer and turns it into a probability graph that you can't read. So we will be switching to the spreadsheet on a few of these. I think I have to make it. Cool. And let me just make sure I hide the email addresses real quick, because that would be awkward. We will black that out. And I think, well, it's not email addresses, but I do have a section where people can volunteer their username. Cool. All hidden now. So let's look at this survey. How fun do you think TLA is to play? Really good numbers. Happy to see those. How easy is it to learn the basics? Good numbers. Happy to see those. How much depth at high level play? This is good. This is maybe a little higher than average, I want to say. Usually it's a little bit above 3, and we have a lot of 4s and some good 5s here. Likely to play again, very good. Likely to recommend to beginners, perfect. That's our number 1 goal. Like recommend to experienced, that's really nice to have. Happy to see these charts. These are good bars. Knowing that there's a self-selection bias, people who bother to fill out the survey probably are somewhat invested, but I'm glad the 68 people want to continue playing the game. Noodle, in terms of strength, is above average and above average fun. Good. Some random comments. Suggests shrinking the leg herd box, as the herd box seems too deceptively big. Causes a lot of unexpected clippings of the jump. That's a very good point, because especially the Carbs jump animation is really disjointed. I was pretty, you could say lazy. I was very uniform with the herd boxes throughout Tough Love Arena. And so they don't often match the animation super well, because I just wanted to make super sure there could never be any character specific combos. But it could be better. That's an interesting request. Definitely remind me during a dev stream. I might take a deeper look at that. I'm not super inclined, but For something like Jump Startup, which can feel different between the different characters, they have different jump speeds and arcs. That could be worth exploring. Make a soup do a little more damage or knockback. I think I'm okay with it. Buzzsaw, buff, nerf, more damage, less damage. He doesn't have a teleport, so this person's probably confusing them with Rice. Nerf the anti-air because they can use a mid-move or mid-combo and counter anything. They're probably talking about Frenzy. Frenzy is a very powerful move, but it does have a big downside. So, working as intended. I don't know what this means. If anyone in chat wants to decode this for me. Trample seems a bit too strong when risk is compared to reward. From a beginner perspective, I appreciate that. That's interesting. Trample is definitely like a really important part of Noodle's kit, but it doesn't get as much attention as something like Frenzy or Soup. But it is it's fast and it travels far and you can convert it into things. So I understand this concern. He can sort of Noodle can sort of force an RPS on block, but now that throw beats like everything, this isn't nearly as good as it used to be. So I think I'm alright with it. Get rid of the Soup Bowl? Hell no. Armor on the side, special armor on Trample? Are you insane? Sorry, I don't mean to be like negging these comments. I appreciate the feedback. That's why they're anonymous. But it's fun to see people who have a very different understanding of my characters in my game. Please don't nerf my boy. Add a mobility move like every other single character. I'd say Trample serves its purpose. Nerf the weird ass flail shit he does with his arms. That's the aforementioned Frenzy. Noodles, and neutral. I don't know what this means, but it was fun to say. Moving on. Rice. Rice is much closer to middle of the road in terms of strength. That tracks. General perception is that Rice got definitely way worse when we dialed back in SWAT to make it less reliable as an anti-air by removing some of its invuln. But then we added Quick Port, and then Quick Port was too strong, so then we nerfed Quick Port, if I'm remembering this correctly. So, I am not surprised by this feedback, but I am okay with this. I'm happy to hear Rice middle of the road or slightly above middle of the road. And above average fun to use. Also, not surprising for the most dedicated zoner in the cast. Here we go to the spreadsheet. So Rice, if you could add, buff, remove one thing, what would it be? Zoom in. Similar comment about shrinking the leg her box. Make neutral special do something else. Barely see it used because people might not know it's a recovery. SWAT is a recovery? I think I'm misunderstanding this feedback. Dive kick and combo even when it's not super meaty. I think that's a suggestion. Will not do. That would, I think, be oppressively powerful. Nerf his teleport, please. No, I actually really like Rice's. Again, not sure if they're talking about Quick Port or the raw back special teleport, but back special teleport is in a very healthy place in terms of what you get from it and its ability to be punished in red. And it's useless in the card mirror, so there's that. Buff SWAT, slightly decrease the amount of recovery on its teleport. Teleport combo under option for side swap instead of damage. We used to have this. It was called Whip Around, I think. Like the third hit of the Rekka, you could do an input that would make Rice teleport before they do it. They teleport behind the opponent, do it the opposite way, and you get the cross up. It was determined to be just like way too powerful. Rice had way too much control over where they were on the screen, they could get out of the corner for free and still have a turn. Like, you could knock someone down with, I'm just playing with this because it's on my desk. You could knock someone down with the Whip Rekkas and then spend your frame advantage teleporting out and be safe doing so, but it's not your turn anymore. So that's a very intentional tool for Rice to not have. Make the character slower. Interesting feedback. Probably in response to the dive kick. But I like Rice having these few limited but high mobility options like the dive kick, which, as we talked, can't really convert. And the quick port. I'm really happy with the quick port. I see a first-time chatter adding me. We will have a Q&A at the end, so please hold your questions until the end. Reviewing Rice feedback. Make the teleport better, nerf the trill moves, should buff his health. I'm not sure how people in general feel right now about the health differences between the characters. I know it was pretty controversial when I first did it a while ago, but I think I'm still pretty happy with it. Split second invisibility. When you walk backwards and press L so you teleport. L as in the L key, not light. Split second invincibility. I think this person is asking, please make teleport invulnerable on startup, which it used to be, but it was just too good at escaping certain situations. And so we very intentionally made it an armor move so that you could throw it. If you read the teleport, you can throw it. Give Rice a projectile. Look forward to the boss version of Rice called Cryptic Carb. They have a fireball. Moving on. Beef. Above average strong. Very above average fun. Sick. Changes. There is no hitbox on the elbow. Maybe they mean the rising knee. It does look like the elbow should be kind of hitting, but like it doesn't functionally make a difference because he's gonna hit anything that's up there anyways. I think he keeps his enemy airborne for too long. Interesting observation on presumably the juggle, but it is only 3 juggle points compared to like an onion. Or unless they're specifically talking about when you hit someone with uppercut mid-air and you get like that extended knockdown time, and that's just to make sure because uppercut is so much recovery, you get to have advantage. That could be something that I would consider revisiting, I'll be honest. It is a very long time for that animation to play out. I think right now you can get like a media jump. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe that's not real. Maybe I'm a fraud. But this is why when you give feedback, and please do on future surveys, just be as specific as possible. I realize I'm doing a lot of interpreting this time, so whatever you can do to help. Make the counter's hitbox punishable on block. So if you trigger a counter with, say, like a safe jump and block it, they want to be able to punish. Excuse me. I prefer the current version where if you call out the counter, you can beat it with your own counter or DP. Nothing is more hype than countering the counter. Much like countering burst. Now, not every character has that option, specifically Rice. And chop might be too slow in certain circumstances. I think it depends. Rice can dash behind and get a punish, so I think, not Rice, Garlic. Garlic's fine. I think characters having unique options for getting around a very niche scenario that should only really come up at higher level play is fine. And exciting when it happens. Make the timing for the counter more clear. That's fair feedback. I would like to do that. It's not easy for me to do, unfortunately, but that's not a great excuse. I've thought about a few ways to do it. the new way that I'm making the new game, it's trivial to do that. Unfortunately, I don't have those tools in the Tough Arena engine. But I was thinking something like a white flash, or maybe a silhouette. I would be down to re-explore this idea, because I do think it's bad that you can't visually tell for either Beef's or Onion's counter. So good feedback. That's just something that is easy for me to forget about. That would be a great one to bring up during a dev stream, because that'd be really fun to demo live and show people some of the ideas I've had and some of the visual jankiness that comes with it. Nerf his damage but buff his combos. Interesting. His life should be changed to something else. I'm afraid that's not an option. That's the Beef's signature move. Nerf the counter because the Onion one isn't as good as Beef's. That is the skill issue. I think Onion's counter is much better than Beef's. There's a situational difference, but in general. Yeah, this is back. Not sure what that's about. Make a longer cooldown for his counter and his projectile. Do no damage to shield. If he spams counter, you can't combo well. If you're doing a combo, the counter won't work. So, again, I feel like going with this feedback is making me sound like a bully if I just keep saying skill issue. The designer in me thinks that's something that to me that is a fault in communication, in either in the tutorial or the ability to funnel people into the tutorial who need it. So I'm reading it and I'm internalizing it. I'm making a few snarky jokes, but like, I'm not going to make this change as you describe it right now, because it will have very dangerous implications for high-level gameplay. But I understand your complaint. Add a longer range weapon? No. Lemon is a bit hard to deal with since you have to block or jump, both of which give the enemy an opening to close the gap to you. Yes. That is the nature of fireballs. But if you get a good jump, you can totally open Beef up and do big boy damage. And some characters have interesting anti-projectile options, so also keep that in mind. The two characters who are the stubbiest and would have the hardest time dealing with it. Actually, let's break this down for a second, because both Onion and Garlic have special moves that can go through fireballs, and at a certain range are basically risk-free. Beef can counter fireball. Pork's armor chop can work at certain distances. And otherwise only needs to get close enough to start doing H, or at least close enough to start threatening chop. Frankly, when I'm playing the carbs versus a Beef, if you just bulldog into the fireballs for a little bit, then you're in whip range, and they can't risk throwing the fireball because Lemon actually has decent startup to it. So there is a lot of counterplay to Lemon. Despite the limited movement options, each character has counterplay to Lemon. What? Remove, nerf, jump, cancel, always gets a 50-50 mix-up. Biased. Appreciate the biased self-description, but this isn't the Beef cooldown. This isn't the Beef section table. This is not true. Many anti-airs will hit both. So just something to keep in mind in the Beef matchup. You can maybe favor stuff like Frenzy, stuff like SWAT, stuff like Meat Jump, because it will answer both the normal jump and the jump limit. Moving on to Pork. Side special is jump here. That is side special. Thank you. Thank you for decoding that for me. So they're saying remove the armor on jump. That's pretty critical to the character. I think they'd have pretty underwhelming anti-airs without it. So I will not be doing that. But I appreciate the suggestion. This is taking way too long. Let's lightning round. Pork. Strong, good. Fun, good, yes. Another one of these. Beef, pork. Same comment about the elbow. Pork needs a nerf to its neutral special. It's way too strong and hard to dodge. See? Caber's OP. Everyone's saying Caber's OP. I think I got a nerf Caber. Make the empty jump do more knockback. Not sure what that means. Nerf his damage, but buff his attack. Nerf special, nothing. Overdrive SPD? Does anyone know what this means? Make the startup of Chop fully invincible. That is a dangerous idea. Did we ever have that? Was that in the game at any point? Did I maybe try that for a second? I forget. Never? Joro says yes. We've had it for AF. Okay. It was in the alpha at some point. So that's where I can get mixed up of like when it got patched out. Was it before or after the release of beta? No, the problem is that compared to Frenzy, which is fully invulnerable, and you need meter to convert, Pork can convert meterless. That is a fun, interesting part about Chomp. That makes it different from Frenzy. But it also provides him a critical weakness, because characters need weaknesses. And Pork is very bullyable, because he is the only character without a frame 1 counter, armor, or invulnerable option. So he's extra vulnerable to pressure to help even out the fact that he is the Caber King, the master of mix. He can dish it, but he can't really take it. Make a special grab go less far. I think it is the perfect distance. I think I very specifically have it so that like it doesn't quite reach round start, or if they walk back even a little bit, it'll whiff. Because I wanted it to basically go as far as possible, but while still definitely having a dead range. And not hitting around start seems like a nice, straightforward, obvious way to do it. Feels like a stronger version of Beef. Maybe make them less spammy. Add White Wild Assault. I don't know. Oh, is that the strive mechanic that they added, where you spend like half your burst bar to do Charging Star with Gold Lewis or something? I'm gonna ignore that one. Nerf way too good combos clap. Why would you change Perfection? He's literally the most OP character. Nerf him so much. Nerf the common combo that people use. His combo strength, I don't know if that means buff or nerf. Remove armor on back special. Someone wants frame 1 armor, someone wants it removed. Attacks come out too fast, getting stun locked, that's the same as Beef. Nerf the Caber Toss is easily spammable. It is very spammable, and I've thought about this. I think it is sufficiently beatable because it super loses to jump, because jumps don't cross up. And you can just mash out jump. And depending on how they're doing it, it will just run into a button. But it can be a bit of a noob killer. I think I saw some of that when we did the bar gameplay. We had it at Wonderville for Valentine's Day. But I think it's still in an okay place. I'm trying to ride that line where it's fun and obviously strong for beginners, but still has a place in competitive play and isn't like oppressive. And I realize that like all compromises, neither camp is fully happy with it right now. It's too strong for beginners and too weak for experts. But I definitely think that's better than the alternative for something that's supposed to be Pork's kind of signature move. And it's very funny. I love the animation. Amy did such a good job on it. Very easy combos, more frames to react to grab. I'm okay with it at distance. It's pretty good right now. And give Chop more recovery frames? I think it's already very whiff punishable, especially against the carbs. Like it's a fun Hail Mary move against the carbs, but if they walk back and make it whiff, God, is it terrible. It takes so long. So I think this would be overkill. Onion is strong. Onion is fun. When they grab their arms, go so much further than the actual hitbox. Yes, this is unfortunate that the animation does not match the current hitboxes. That is true. I don't know if we'll have the time or resources to go back and amend the art to match the grab. That might just always be like a kind of frustrating incongruity. It definitely represents a time when everyone had the same grab range and there was proximity throws and all this other garbage was going on. So it's a relic of that. So that can be frustrating if it looks like, oh, why isn't it reaching? But we're definitely not improving the hitbox, so we're kind of stuck with it until we can fix the animation. Make his counter shorter, please. I mean, Onion hurts to visit. I assume they mean the counter whiff. No, I think it's in a good place. He is weaker than his counterpart Garlic. Very interesting take. Buff his damage. Extremely interesting take. Have their combos not last so long. That is a unique thing to Onion. I realize it can be divisive, but I'm going to let Onion have that. Also make the whiffed parry sound louder, more recognizable. That's interesting. That is very interesting. I don't know when we'll have a chance to do audio recording for the game again, but that is a feature I would be totally open to exploring. Or I could maybe see what other sounds we already have recorded for Onion, and I could consider swapping those. Because that is, we have a really distinctive noise for Beef, the whereas Onion's is more of like a huh. It sounds like similar to a lot of his other grunts. So that could be interesting. That could be interesting. I'd like it to have an audio tell to help people react and punish. Make a stance instead of a parry. Not really an option. We don't have we're not adding any more moves to the game at this point. So what would the stance go into? Fix him because when I drop kick him with pork and he does a low kick, it hits me still. Is this true? How can I test this with the April Fool's patch? Shoot. Yeah, does anti-air sweep work? I don't think it would. I know anti-air trip used to work, but we removed that a while ago. Didn't we? If you space it, I think. If it's punching the landing because you're like spacing it and the dropkick whiffs. Okay, but it's not beating it within range. I'm okay with that. If it's hitting the landing, that's actually a very cool thing that I like and I want to keep. I just want to make sure it wasn't trading like Trip used to. Kind of like landing punish, but earlier you could still clip them while airborne. I guess that makes sense. Wait, no. Sounds like they're getting whiff punished. I'm curious if anyone else encounters this, definitely report it. This is not intentional. This is the wrong character. Everyone just picks Garlic is a very popular character. ADD. Yeah, longer range weapon. That's when you get hit your character cross. Now these are the sorts of suggestions I want. This person's thinking outside of the box. As we discussed, Onion's parry is designed to be lower floor, higher ceiling than Beef's. Let's put it that way. Boom. Kick means no range of trip with the light attack. Move this bum ass character. And longer hitbox for sweep biased? Absolutely not. Okay. Lastly, Garlic. Strong, good, fun, super good, super fun. Most fun character. Daddy's favorite boy. Feedback. All messed up. Scroll over. Garlic, if you could add or remove. He can just kind of spam and still win to make him less good. I just don't know how. Thankfully, the spammy things are pretty low damage. If someone's just teleporting on you all day, it's not really hurting you that much. Just take your hands off the controller and block it. hate him. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for this valuable feedback. Garlic is perfect. Thank you for this even more valuable feedback. Buff is special. I would nerf the teleporting. Buff dash. He's so annoying, lol. I like that they're calling him annoying, but they can also laugh about it. That's how I feel when I fight a good Garlic. It's very frustrating. Same as Onion. Fix him, please. What did this person write for Onion? Oh, so the sweep situation. Okay, so still waiting for a second account of that. I would remove neutral block. I would stretch backflip, throw, and vuln, so backflip jump would beat all throws. I would assume it already beats throws because the invuln is just greater than the number of active frames. It just doesn't beat throws because throw recovers. So it successfully evades the throw. But that's not a matter of stretching, that'd be a matter of like speeding up the jump. Moshbox says right now it loses to meaty throw? Really? Again, something I can't test right now with April Fool's patch. Definitely bring that up later in a dev stream if that's the case. It's supposed to escape anything, but if you commit to the jump, then they can anti-air you. Make a special teleport have more of a start so you can react to it easier. It's already like pseudo-reactable and you can get damage if you react to it, so if it was very reactable, it would be unusable. I'd much rather have this thing that's hard to react to but is very low reward, whereas if we made it easier to react to, then we'd kind of need to balance it and give it high reward, and then on someone who can't react to it, it's really abusable and really strong, whereas right now it's just kind of annoying. And it's annoying in a good way, in a very intentional way, that it just sort of adds to the mental stack, but isn't like... It's a death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's not the problem. Make his teleportation unblockable. So much ADD. Armor on side special. Maybe this person didn't understand the prompt and just put this on all the characters. I like the JoJo reference when he counters. You mean Onion, but compliment received, thank you. Make teleport more reactable, nerf the back teleport, more damage, buff everything. Make trip easier to use. Interesting feedback. It's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be sometimes smooth, so. And if we make it any better, some of the already messed up stuff you can do with trip would get more messed up. But that's interesting. It's interesting that that's how people feel about trip, or at least one person does. And 2 to 3 more frames on sneak. Again, I think it's okay where it is. It's frustrating to play against online, but it's in the grand scheme of things, fine. What about TLA originally appealed to you? Accessibility, simple mechanics, skins of Onion really got me into TLA. Cool. Cartoony style, easy access, rollback, easier than other games, simple mechanics, friends show me, beginner friendly, free. Silly little characters. I agree. That's one of my favorite things about Temple of Arena. It already makes me sad that the new tag game has faces. Feels like I've lost something dear. It's free to play in the browser. Modding. Glad to see this continues to be a beloved feature because it really, I can regret it sometimes. I've probably talked about this before. I think I added modding too early. I should have waited until the engine was more mature, but at the time I thought it was as mature as it was going to get, and it makes future additions to the engine slower and more difficult. But I know that the people that it's been important to, it's been really important. So I wouldn't wave a wand to make it go away, but it puts a bad taste in my mouth for the new game, and how or when or how eagerly I want to add modding support to that because of the development penalty is effectively incurred on Temple of Arena. So it's always good to have a reminder that people like it, that people use it. That's always valuable for me to hear. Web-based, good graphics, I agree. We did a great job. Art style, sus game. Similarities with Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter. I agree. There's similarities with all three. Funny YouTuber said it was good. I'm curious which one. The community, the combos, runs like a browser, free fighting game. It is in beta, kind of. We've been in beta for a very long time. We gotta get out of beta. How easy it was to find. Interesting. Garlic looked cool. They're gonna look even cooler once the art's done. On my school Chromebook. That is definitely part of it. Everything you. Aw. And according to the sheet, the person who says you is the same person who's been saying ADD this whole time. So, I don't know what that means. YouTube. Oh my gosh, there's so many nice comments. Could play an interesting game at school. Names of the characters. Glad to see that was an appeal factor. It is very fun. Free website. Don't have to download. Low barrier to entry. The name of it. Glad to hear that. Don't get much feedback on the name or the branding. That's always good feedback. Naming is really scary. So I'm very happy with that Tough Arena worked out. And that I'm comfortable saying the acronym TLA because I say it all the time. I'm like thinking ahead to the new game. I'm gonna have to make sure it has like a convenient acronym. That's hopefully a little bit more unique. Unfortunately, we share this one with The Last Airbender, which some people refer to Avatar: The Last Airbender because Avatar the movie came out and stole its name. Not stole, you know what I mean. Anyways, it's still relatively easy to Google for. Way better than the terrible SEO we had day one. I'm not going to mention it on stream. I'm not going to explain it, but if you were there, you know what it was like to Google Tough Arena on day one. Oh boy, we're well past that point. But yes, glad to hear that the name appealed to you. That's valuable feedback to me. Thank you. Accessibility, simplicity, free. Oh, Moxbox clarifies it was Gecko Squirrels. I'm pretty sure. Yes, Gecko Squirrels mentions a few times in a comedic way. They are funny and cool YouTuber, and I like them. They do a great job. And they gave us the great quip that I repeated at EVO on the main stage, which is Tough Love Arena at toughlovearena.com. What keeps you playing TLA? Fun, accessibility, garlic, addicting, improvement, friends in school, boredom, browser use, bunch of community, fun gameplay, multiplayer online, quick rounds, good note. Combos are difficult to learn, but in a good way. They're hard to execute consistently, but when you see what you have to do in the combo trials, it makes sense. That's great to hear. As someone who has been playing fighting games for way too long, I'm not going to say the number out loud because it's scary. From my perspective, the combos are easy, but that's just my perspective. It's really so it's really valuable to hear from someone who the combos seem hard to, which is many people. Many people where this is their first fighting game. I'm sure it still seems very intimidating. I'm glad that they feel hard but doable. That's good. That's what I was going for. Onion maybe less so, but 4 out of 6 characters, yes. Combos should be attainable. I remember it was super fun. There's a few times that Amy tried to play the game. They were like, I'm gonna sit down and learn how to play this game. And I'm pretty sure Amy picked pork exclusively. Good taste. And it was so fun watching Amy try to do the combo trials and like get just so anxious. And just like start freaking out and start mashing. It was really cool. I need to see more of that. I need to get more of that data. Maybe that's something to keep in mind next time I'm having it at an event, to have like a combo trial set up or have an easier way to access it from the event mode. CPU keeps you playing TLA. That is very surprising to hear because the CPU sucks. It is rough. That's great. I'm so happy to hear that. It will become so much better for you, my friend. Someday, I promise. It's gonna have to come with arcade mode. If I'm focusing on CPU mode, the CPU has to be like playable. But I'm gonna focus on the skeleton first, and then the actual brain. It's a free Skullgirls. The little pish pish sounds. Glad people still like those. Nice. And upcoming we gotta speed this up. I've been talking about the survey for like 45 minutes. I'll just look at this one real quick. Gonna scroll through it. Lots of April Fools, garlic art, Teflon Gauntlet, 2v2 team battles. I'm sorry that's not coming. New character. I'm sorry that's not coming. But a lot of people say April Fools, which is good. I'm glad people have awareness of the events. Sometimes I get half the time the responses to this are like, "You guys have events?" So I'm excited to see how many April Fools responses there are. I hope you're enjoying the patch this week, and I hope you enjoy the tournament this Friday. And friends and thoughts, very cool. Some feedback. Add carrot and radish. Give pork a bunny tail. Cute emoticon. I respect that data analysts are people who reviews these surveys. And have a nice day, will you? I appreciate your respect. I am not a data analyst, but I am technically a person, and I do review these surveys. So thank you for that. They're always fun to do. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, I gotta like set up an alarm clock or something. It's like we just normally don't have that much feedback. Normally I'm used to just skimming. There's a couple interesting comments, but when we have double or even like quadruple some of the feedback we got some months, like it's do set up a timer. Yeah. I want to keep going over it live. I think that's way more fun than when I used to go over it offline and I'll just like pull out a few comments. I think it's fun for everyone to see all the graphs and be able to skim some of the insane stuff that I get. Joro suggests assembly. Easton says it also felt like new player feedback is more diverse. Yeah, we've definitely been getting a lot of new player feedback the last 3 months, and it's lots of fresh eyes, lots of fresh perspectives. Okay, Q&A time. Let me switch over to the big. Well, first. Gotta get this lettering frame. I have no real attachment to this thing. I bought it at Walgreens like last week, but it's just here, and I'm worried about my mise en scène. Okay, anyways, hello. If this is your first time at the Tough Love Arena Q&A, starting now, I will read any questions you put in chat until I run out of questions or I run out of brain. We usually run out of questions first. If you asked a question before, earlier in the stream, please just repost it. I will not be scrolling back up. And we will be starting with the Q&A after I take a sip. And check something real quick. Cool. All right. 918. Let's go. Frederick asks, reposting suggestion, Paul, you should make chop -7 instead of -8 so that Flick Roundhouse has an actual use. Frederick is referring to the fact that right now chop is -8, so both spice characters, Onion and Garlic, can punish it with sweep, which has 7 frames of startup, is active on frame 8. So with that move that is a more damaging starter and has more range, why would you use Flick Roundhouse? Excuse me. Flick Roundhouse, I think, was added when there were certain things that only Flick could punish, and you couldn't like get anything off of Flick Sweep. I forget the exact circumstance, and it does come up in a few like very niche juggle situations where you want something to come up like as far as timing and height. That said, if I make chop -7, then it's just safer at so many ranges. Like being punishable by sweep is very important. If we make it only -7, then it's basically only punishable at point blank, and I want the spices to have a little bit more room than that. Table says, I feel like spices have way too much control over the system mechanics and balance. They have the best post tech helping both their offense and defense, but the real kicker is how dumb their meter system is. They built the most meter in the game thanks to their long meterless routing and long walking, meaning they end up with far more meter than the whole cast. To be clear, you don't gain meter based on distance traveled. You just gain meter based on number of frames spent walking. So I don't think they have a meter advantage when it comes to walking. But that's just one of your many arguments. Let's continue. They also are the only ones with routing that isn't burst punishable, meaning that they are harder to burst than any other character. I have an idea. Is this gonna... Can I put this... One second. Can I put this over here? Yeah! Okay. Okay. Oops, nope. Can I make the chat big? Yeah! Okay, cool. I have to, oops, transition. I guess that puts us back on that screen. Oops. This isn't super readable. Okay, to be continued some other time. I've just always thought like it'd be nice if people could see the question I'm responding to, but I'm not gonna figure it out live. So some other time. Okay. Get this back in here. Go back. Shoot. Now it's all messed up. Sorry, patience. Okay, where we left off. Table talking about spices being too strong. It's an interesting observation table. I think that's a very interesting framing from which to look at the game. I agree, much like many games, the faster characters in general take the most advantage of everything. That is why faster characters tend to be stronger over time and be stronger in general. So, but I appreciate you describing how specific to Tough Arena they have advantages. I do agree that there are moments where they do have advantage like this. There are moments where certain things favor them, but I don't think it is sufficient. I think that's an advantage I am okay with them having. I don't think it is dire enough that I need to start reassessing either how they work fundamentally or how the system mechanics work fundamentally in order to right that wrong. Because the thing about, especially post-tech as an example, if we increase the distance a little bit, then meats have the advantage. And if we increase it further, then carbs have the advantage. Someone's going to have the advantage. It can't be fair. Unless we do kissing range and you both have your 5-frame buttons. That's just the way it is. They do definitely gain the most meter, but I would also argue that they're the most meter dependent, and both for doing damage and confirming, I should say, onion more so than garlic. Garlic can spend their meter on other things. This is all to say I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying that any of it's insane, but so I appreciate the feedback and I'll take it, but I don't think there's anything actionable in there. Table has a little bit of additional. This meter control leads to fucked up risk reward where Onion takes me to the corner in one combo, building a full bar. If I guess wrong, I die. If I guess right, Onion just bursts me back to corner and starts pressure. That is an advantage. I agree. But that's an advantage I'm okay with the rush down short range characters having. Shy Ninja asks, will arcade mode modding and CPU modding be a thing? What do you mean, Shy Ninja? Do you mean like people being able to make their own arcade modes? If so, no. I'll still have like a versus CPU mode, and you can always load up a mod character and fight them that way, or put them in training mode or whatever. But I don't see how I would tie arcade mode to my current way of doing modding, which is very character based. and or I don't see a whole lot of utility gained in it. Um, it's an interesting suggestion, but it's not. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, essentially, as I'm conceiving it right now. It's actually interesting. I think, as far as mod support, I think we could make arcade mode support mods, but we'd have a condition that if you're using a modded character, because right now, sorry, let me clarify this. Right now we have boss characters, and spoilers, you can unlock boss characters if you beat them in the boss challenge under specific circumstances, which you can find right now under the versus CPU. There's a versus Mystery Meat and versus Secret Spice. If you beat them in a certain way, you can unlock them, and you're logged in, and you're log into your account, beat them in a special way. They will then be playable on your account while playing offline or in specific PMs and lobbies. I am planning to remove that and move it into arcade mode. So you would unlock them by beating arcade mode in a maybe not identical but specific way. So you'll notice right now if you go into versus Mystery Meat, there is no mod selection. The little green guy with the wrench is missing. And that's because you could easily make a mod that just does full screen unblockable 1,000,000 damage and cheese the boss that way. And then unlock them unfairly. But arcade mode has enough going on that I think it would be fun to have your own custom character and take them through and like play single player content with a modded character. So it would be pretty easy to detect when you're using a modded character, and I can just skip the boss unlock part. You'll just be ineligible for unlocking boss characters, and I can try to like add some verbiage explaining that, or maybe they'll just be people will find out the hard way. I'd be down to do that, but as far as like people creating their own arcade modes, not in the plan. Esid says, can we get a sentence or two on your first impression for each April Fool's character? I do not know about them to give a sentence, Esid. I'm sorry. I will. It's a fun question, but I don't have a satisfying answer for you, so I will have to decline. Joro says, Paul, will you consider adding an option to let characters start every round with extra meter through mods? At the moment, they can only start with extra meter They can start extra meter in the first round? Oh, do you add meter gain to like the falling in to the intro animation? If so, that's very funny. It's a very funny, janky workaround. Let me check something. I thought we did have that as an option. Because I know one of the April Fools you started with 1 bar. And I guess I thought it was on the character. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was hard-coded somewhere else. Also, this is... I should get rid of that. Weird matchmaker sticking out. That could be added. That's a pretty painless add. Bring it up in a dev stream. I'd be okay adding that. It would take like 15 minutes to implement. And I can see the application. It could be cool. So, good suggestion. Back to the questions. People are responding to the first question, my feedback about Flake Roundhouse versus Pork's Chop, saying that yes, they know that it's worse, and maybe sweep is too much range. I would prefer Chop to not be punishable by sweep. not convinced, but I'll keep it in mind. That is an interesting balance suggestion, Joro. I forget if you were the first person who raised it. Maybe it was Fredruary. It's Fredruary. Thank you for raising that, or re-raising it. I don't completely agree, so I'm not itching to do it, but I will keep it in mind. Table clarifies that walking mid-combo builds meter, which, yes, there are a few... The juggle routes with both Spice characters give them opportunities to do. That is correct. They have more opportunities for walking mid-combo. I thought you meant just walking in general. So I misread your original statement, or at least the intent. Esid says, about walk speed meter gain, I had to nerf Pika Wi-Fi meter gain because of their slow speed. Oh, because they move slowly, so you could spend more time walking without getting into a dangerous range, and you just gain more meter, is how I interpret that. Yeah, that's interesting. Pika Wi-Fi was a very funny one. It was this modded character that's supposed to simulate playing against someone on a terrible connection, because, like, a bunch of their moves, they, like, wouldn't move, and then they'd suddenly, like, teleport around. It was pretty funny. It was miserable, but it was funny. Reading questions, lots of conversation. More conversation about spices and balancing. Beat the boss, more like cheese them to death. Yes, Shy Ninja. It is, unfortunately, the bosses, because of, again, the aforementioned poor AI, are extremely cheesable. You said, "Ask, are you gonna have to unlock the boss character again?" No, I won't. I won't screw legacy players like that. Just going forward. There will be a short window when you can fight Rice directly, so I guess unlock them now if you don't want to try and do it in arcade mode. Lots of back and forth between Joro and Table. Paul, you did not say anything about CPU modding. Shy Ninja, I don't understand the question. I don't know what you mean by CPU modding. Please elaborate. Intro sequence config for meter on start. Yeah, if you add meter gain to that, then it would only happen during round 1 where they actually fall in. On all the rematches, I don't bother with that animation. So that would explain the round 1 start. I guess I must have hard-coded it for April Fool's in 22, where just like I changed it somewhere in the game start code or the round start code. A funny clip. Dabasar says, what are your thoughts on the April Fool's patch? I unfortunately, I don't have any thoughts. I haven't had any time. It's been a really, again, I'm here to talk about Tuffle Arena, not my personal life. But as I've hinted at through earlier this broadcast and a confluence of other factors, I have been really extremely unusually busy. And so I'm very grateful to the modders who are doing this, because without them, just April Fools definitely wouldn't have happened. And they were all able to be very self-directed and did a lot of great work playtesting it for each other. So I'm really excited to explore it, but I haven't had a chance to yet. Moxbox, Paul, thoughts on all characters gaining ADHD? What was the most commonly requested feature addition across all characters? Davisar says it's actually possible to make mods start with an extra meter on every round. I can make a proof of concept. I believe that, Dab, but if it's like a weird workaround, we can just add it to the stats. We can just put it next to max health, starting meter. Like, that's not a big deal. Shy Ninja says, you only talked about arcade modding, CPU modding, like the AI. So you mean people writing their own AI? That is definitely not possible the way that I've written AI. It is a bunch of code that's made to be generic to work on any character so that people can make modded characters and the AI can try and figure out what to do with them. That said, there are some fields. Is this in the docs? We're going to pull that page back up, transition over. AI. They are not. Oh, no, there's a bunch more results. This. There's a few of these properties peppered throughout where you, as the character creator, can tell the AI how to play your character. If you do X, always cancel into Y. Or like, I think this is a janky one that I will hopefully remove. The AI doesn't understand things that only hit air versus only hit ground. So I think, so on something like SWAT, SWAT fake? Oh, the name is just old. Never fixed the name. Is this? Where do I use AI ignore attack? If it's not on this one. I remember there being something where, like, I thought it was SWAT, where because it technically creates this huge hitbox, the AI would like try to parry it, or they would like just be frozen in place trying to block SWAT, even if they were on the ground. So I think I added that to say AI ignored this move as an attack. I don't even know what that does anymore. Clearly, it's not documented with comments. But there are some breadcrumbs there, and I will continue to have those, and I'll continue to support those once I rewrite the AI, if you want to add those sorts of guardrails. AI cancel on whiff. That is not currently in the game because very few characters have cancels on whiff. But I realize AI modded characters might, so that's a fair feature request. But I'll wait until the AI rewrite. Reading chat. More talking about spices and meter. I've said what I wanted to say on that. Cool. That concludes the Q&A. So, thank you all for a stream that lasted way... Oh, hydrate. Thank you. Rango the Chameleon is asking me to drink. Where's the redemption button? Marcus completed. Davsr says the entire modding scene may as well be built on top of cancels on whiff. I know you guys all do some very creative things. You guys and girls. And they thems. Do some very interesting things with my poor little baby engine. Cool. I'm going to end it there. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for the lively conversation. Enjoy the April Fool's patch. I'll send out a feedback form after the event is over, asking for people to talk about April Fool's specifically. But for now, just try it out, have fun. Try to play in the Friday tournament, see how far you can get, or watch it if you can't play. I'm super excited for it again. And I will see you all then. Have a good night.